Good evening. You know, Eves, living in a hypothetical free agent world's got me like Google 17th century connections between Canada and a Caribbean island. That will all make sense in a minute, but I really need 3 days from now to hurry up.
Well, as we get closer and closer to 6 o'clock Eastern Sunday, the NBA free agency period is starting to look and feel more and more like The Bachelor, because the potential drama around who's about to get chosen could be getting mad thick. 3 days before teams can start negotiating with players comes this news. The Lakers now have $32 million worth of cap space to pursue a max player, sources telling ESPN. In order to make that happen, LA made that Anthony Davis trade with the Pelicans a 3-team deal by sending Mo Wagner, Isaac Bonga, and Jamario Jones to the Wizards. And AD chipped in as well when he agreed to waive his $4 million trade kicker. Put all that together, and that's how you get $32 million. So here's how they cleared the deck. The Lakers traded away 6 of the 8 players they had under contract as early as a couple weeks ago. They now have just 3 players, if you include AD, on their roster entering free agency with $32 million in cap space, as we said. If they can sign a third max player, the Lakers will only be able to fill out the roster with minimum salaries. Now, that would be surprisingly keeping them under the luxury tax threshold for next season. All right, so Adrian Wojnarowski is here now on SportsCenter. Now that the Lakers have this cap room, Woj, what do they do with it? Is it a max player or is it multiple options?
Here's the thing, Michael. It's almost a sliding scale. It's like, what is a max player? You decide what a max player is. So if it was Kawhi Leonard, well, of course you would do it, right?
No brainer.
But if it's, certainly D'Angelo Russell has been a focus of the Lakers. If Kyrie Irving goes to Brooklyn, if Brooklyn renounces him and he's no longer a restricted free agent, he becomes unrestricted, they need guard play there. They need shooting. They need a ball handler. Jimmy Butler is a free agent. Yeah. And so, but they're looking in LA at the possibility now with $32 million of, go through the list of free agents, the Danny Greens, the Terrence Rosses, the Seth Currys, bringing KCP back in LA. You can build some depth out to your roster. So it's really about weighing what max player might be interested in you versus who else you could get. It's going to be they're going to have to make a lot of quick decisions on that, though.
Yeah, you're talking about Kawhi Leonard versus D'Angelo Russell. Those numbers for a max are a little bit different. You could have more room to do something else. So we'll stay tight and listen to that. Meanwhile, let's go to Boston for a second, because you're also reporting that the Celtics are the leading contender right now for Kemba Walker. What is tipping the scales here in favor of Danny Ainge and company?
Well, Charlotte made it easier for Kemba Walker, by not going the distance that he wanted them to go in negotiations, staying there. He wanted a guaranteed 5th year. Charlotte has shown some restraint with how far they're willing to go, and they opened the door up for Kemba Walker to start looking around the rest of the league. And with Kyrie Irving on his way out in Boston, Kemba Walker is looking at the Celtics, and they are more than a strong front runner. They are in position to sign him when the moratorium ends on July 6th. They could have a commitment as soon as Sunday night.
It's a win-win for him. He's going to get a lot of money. He goes for a team that immediately becomes one of the favorites coming out of the East. Much more to come from Woj throughout the evening and throughout the next several days here on SportsCenter. Thanks, Woj.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, let's take a look at this Boston situation, because what the Celtics would be losing in Kyrie, they could be gaining back for the most part in Kemba Walker if Boston can sign him. According to Second Spectrum, Kyrie ranked tied for first in isolation efficiency with James Harden. Kemba not far behind, ranking tied for 5th among 56 players with at least 150 direct ISOs last season. But there is certainly more to Kemba than just his one-on-one game, especially when the game is on the line. He scored 175 points in clutch time during the 2018-2019 season, which is the final 5 minutes of the game, and the score within 5 points. That ranked 2nd best in the NBA, trailing only James Harden. Now, he also had more points than Kyrie, who finished with the 3rd most clutch points this past season.
Hey, let's bring Stephen A. Smith into the fold, talk a little Celtics free agency. It looks like they're going to lose Kyrie and Al Horford, but what kind of impact would adding Kemba Walker have on Celtics?
Well, listen, that would be a profound impact simply from the standpoint that when you look at Kyrie Irving and the game that he has, the person most similar to him would be Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker averaged 25 games last year, played all 82 games. He's missed about 6 games in the last 4 years. 10 games in the last 5. He can shoot from the outside. He can drive to the basket. He's nearly impossible to guard one-on-one. He's an offensive juggernaut, and he's relatively miniature in stature as well. So when you look at it from that standpoint, it certainly would be a complimentary piece, a highly complimentary piece, considering the fact that you'd be replacing Kyrie Irving. But it's not etched in stone. Obviously, the Boston Celtics think that they have a shot at getting him. According to my sources, he told the Charlotte Hornets that he wants out and that he planned on going to the Boston Celtics, but that was before the Los Angeles Lakers created this additional cap space. So we simply don't know what's going to happen right now.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because, of course, the Celtics' longtime rival would be those Lakers who it looks like are creating that cap space. They'll have around, $32 million to play with at the start of free agency. So, Stephen A., where do you think then that now put the Lakers in terms of free agent destinations, that they're in the fold?
Well, first of all, it makes them incredibly attractive because you have LeBron James, you have AD, and now that you have max space in order to bring a marquee player on board, you're asking that player to join 2 superstars in the Southern California sunshine without asking them to take a pay cut, which is essentially what you would have been asking them to do prior to making this move. And that also gives the Lakers an incredible level of flexibility that they may not have had. First of all, you could go after Kyrie Irving if you so choose, and suddenly it's not etched in stone that he could end up in Brooklyn. If LeBron and AD come calling and say, how about helping the Lakers win a championship in Southern California? Kemba Walker, do you really want to go to the cold in Boston? By the way, you saw what happened with them last year, even though it was Kyrie there instead of you. Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. You sure you don't want to come up here for another couple of years before being a free agent again and being free to move on, if not signing a max deal? Or if you're the Lakers, you can say, you know what? We could get a guy like D'Angelo Russell, pay him anywhere from $7 to $10 million less, putting us in position to add a point guard, not to mention adding additional pieces to the mix since we're trying to build a roster. That's the level of flexibility that the Los Angeles Lakers have available to them right now. And also in the process, it's great PR because a team that looked absolutely dysfunctional and ravaged in controversy just weeks ago are now my favorites to win the championship. And you got a GM in Rob Pelinka and an owner in Jeannie Buss who suddenly deserve our respect, as opposed to our vitriol for how things were handled. A lot has changed with Los Angeles over the last few days.
To that point, and for the good feelings, what do you make of the gesture that LeBron James made today in deciding to let Anthony Davis wear number 23?
Well, he's being thankful. To keep in mind that LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers didn't make the playoffs last year. LeBron James misses 17 straight games and 18 or 19 overall because of that groin injury, derailed their playoff aspirations, making it the 6th straight consecutive year that the Lakers didn't make the postseason. So you go out there and you get a guy like Anthony Davis, who basically forced his way to L.A. by indicating through his agent Rich Paul that he had no desire to stay in New Orleans and that the Knicks or the Lakers were his preference. The least you could do is give the brother your number 23. That's the least you could do, especially since you wore number 6 when you were in Miami winning championships. Just a thought.
Exactly. And Dave McMenamin reports that he is going to go back to number 6. He wore it in Miami. He wore it in Team USA. His second favorite player is Julius Erving, who wore number 6. His first kid was born on October 6th. He has another kid that was born in June. So if you're looking for significance, there you go. More Stephen A. He's coming back to talk Kawhi's impending free agent decision, still ahead on SportsCenter.
All right, we are just getting loose here on SportsCenter. Still to come, it's already been a wild week of comebacks in the Mets-Phillies matchup. Don't miss another crazy finish that capped off this crisis series.